Oh, grovelers. My little idiot grobs. I say that out of love. Well, okay, 2 items on the agenda, which I may not be able to cover by the time I get to work. One is just let's talk about this again. We need to review the lessons. The thing when you're trying to change your golf swing, which means you're trying to change your motor pattern, the temptation is to be guided by your feels. And everyone's guilty of this. I'm still guilty of this. But you still have to be vigilant to keep yourself from falling into this trap. The temptation when you're trying something new, when you're trying a new movement in your golf swing, is to feel when you've done something different that you think is the right thing to do. The temptation is to make the move, and whether, I don't know, it should feel different, okay, if it's actually different. But, and then maybe you catch one in the center of the face. The temptation is to feel like, okay, this feels right. Like somehow it's this new thing has snapped everything into place. And I always use that term, snap everything together, but nothing actually snaps together immediately. Sometimes when you're working on 2 separate things and they're complementary and you are competent enough at each of those things that you can do them at the same time. Sometimes there's a little bit of that phenomenon where you can kind of do both, and that makes the overall motion, the overall picture even better. And so that's a little bit of a kind of where things kind of come together a little more quickly than normal. But generally, the problem with feeling like something is snapped into place, i.e. this feels right, this is what I've been looking for all my life, this is the feel that I've been looking for. There's a number of stimuli which may cause you to feel that, but it's not necessarily an indicator that you did the exact right thing. Even if you tried in good faith to do the right thing and it felt different, the temptation sometimes is to have a qualitative judgment that says, yes, I've got it. Probably not. So the reason for this is that anytime you change your motor pattern, it should feel awkward. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. That's the rule. I mean, every golf instructor should know this, is that when you try something different, if you do the wrong thing, like if you get bad information and do the wrong thing, that will feel different. Or if it's different from what you're currently doing and it's wrong and it's worse than what you're currently doing, that will feel terrible. And it's terrible not because it's actually terrible, it's terrible because it's different. Like the fact that it feels awkward and weird and terrible is not an indicator of the quality of the information or how correct the movement is compared to what you've been doing. It's just not, because I have to go back to this analogy again for you guys. It's a new motor pattern is you in the Amazon jungle beating away a new path with a machete. There's no such thing as you hit a couple limbs and then the whole thing, it just opens up. No. You go, oh, there it is. There's the good path. No. You only make a good path by just beating away at it in a tedious way for many repetitions, doing exactly the correct thing. And at some point, the path opens up. Like the whole thing about, that's why I tell people, and they hate this, when someone says, okay, you gave me, I give a groveler, a member of the Groveler Mafia, a personal video, because grovelers like their personal videos. They don't want general videos. They go, that's all fine and good, but what about me? I want my personal video. Okay, fine. Here's your personal video. So they go, well, okay. So they think, if I told them it took 3 months, they'd be, gosh, that long, huh? I'm really going to work on it. Can I do this? Now that you give me the right information, I think I can get this figured out pretty quick. Well, the figuring out part Sure, I can bring you to a remedial intellectual understanding of it, maybe, pretty quickly, right? Assuming you believe me. But like actually making yourself do it so you can go out on the golf course and not think about it, and it happens because it's your motor pattern. If I said it's a 3-month project, they would go, okay, yeah, okay. And then deep down secretly go, well, I'm going to go to the simulator, and it's snowing outside, but I'm going to go to the indoor thing, and or wherever you are. I'm going to go hit balls, and I'm going to get this. Now that I know, finally, I know, I'm going to knock this thing out pretty quickly. Hey, I got a tournament next month, man. Okay, well, here's the bad news. It's not even a 3-month project. It's like a 3-year project. It's at least a 3-year project. Now, it doesn't mean you can't see progress along the way, and you can continue to play in your club tournaments or do whatever you're doing. Just understand that if you're trying to fundamentally change a motor pattern based on the resources you're likely to have to do it, you're not playing golf for a living. So you don't get up in the morning going to the golf course every day. Like, you got to go work for a living. So yeah, it's a 3-year project. What ends up happening, the typical groveler tries a few different things and then surfs internet and the interwebs and picks up a few things on Instagram, and then maybe he listens to me for a couple of range sessions and then tries something different, and then comes back to me and go, I didn't quite get that part, but I saw this video on YouTube and I think that's kind of what you're talking about. And I go, well, actually, not only is it not what I'm talking about, it's literally the opposite of what I'm talking about. And they go, but I did it and it felt like it felt better. Like, I go, okay, yeah, you could do that. And then when you want to get back to, you want to make real progress, then come back and see me. Like, that's fine. Yeah, go down that rabbit hole for a while. And learn that painful lesson, and can't come back to me in a situation or in a frame of mind that should be like slightly more insightful, even though it's probably gonna be less insightful. That's fine. Just come back and we'll actually head the right direction. We'll actually take the machete out and we'll start beating away at the correct path, because you just took the Instagram path and you thought you were making progress. You saw light at the end of the tunnel, and then an alligator came out and bit your leg off. Right? So it just takes a long time. So what happens is you start beating away with the right path with a machete. You start to, as the path gets bigger and wider and you're chopping away the limbs, it starts to be easier to walk back and forth down that pathway. It starts to get a little bit more repetitive, a little easier to do. You start to see a little progress. You're encouraged. Sometimes you think, well, I'm already arrived. You haven't arrived. You need to keep that tedious process up of beating away. And at some point, you've got a good solid path that you can walk down with no obstructions, very repeatably, and it's going the right direction in the most efficient. It's getting you to the right place at the right time in the most efficient way. Okay? But to build that path, it is a PIA. Like, it is a mega PIA. And it's always going to be that way. And it should be that way. Because the whole point is, once you've developed a new motor pattern, it repeats, right? So it takes a while to develop it. But once you develop it, like if you could develop it in 3 days, then it wouldn't hang around. Like, you wouldn't be able to do it consistently well. The point is, you've taken this neural pathway and you've made it so that your brain can follow that pathway at a very high rate of speed and high rate of precision very consistently. And it's only once you have ingrained that pathway. So again, when you first start chopping away at the jungle, it's just going to feel tedious no matter what direction you're going, whether you're going the right direction or the wrong direction. Usually what happens is when someone thinks they have an epiphany at a range session, here's what's happened. They've tried something new, means they've tried to beat the pathway in the right direction, and they've actually veered off course and beat their new path into their old path. Right? And so suddenly it opens up. And that's because it's the old bad path that's going around in a circle. But it's opened up. And so they go, okay, finally, there it is. Some relief. I finally got this thing. Right? They hit a few solid. They basically run home to mama with their old motor pattern. They're doing the exact same thing. You put it on 2D video, it literally looks identical. And they really feel like they've done something new because they triggered that process with something that felt new and awkward. But their brain said, I don't like this, and we're going to do the thing I like to do. And they went back to their old motor pattern. So they feel like they open the path back up, and it's their old path, and they don't recognize it. They just think it's something new and awesome. And they go, wow, okay, that was a little awkward at first, but now I got it, man. And then you guys go shoot 93 next week in the club tournament. That because you're on your old path again. No. It's got to keep feeling tedious for a while, right? Now, are there certain stimuli, right? As far as if you were to say, well, this feels better. Well, okay, so if it was a more objective, like, well, I feel like when I do this, my weight is more into the center of my right foot. Okay, that's got some validity to it. And that's what I want you to do. Or sometimes you might say, I feel like my weight has gone here and I feel like my arms are doing this. And I'll sit there and go, well, okay, you think it's a lot, it's very little. It's maybe slightly better if I squint, but it's not great. I mean, it needs to keep going quite a bit more, right? So you're going to have some reliability. You're going to have to rely somewhat, or let me put it this way. You can't rely on stimuli unless you've got a pretty good system of feedback working, whether it's me or someone else that knows what they're looking at, or another instructor that knows what they're doing, or I've told you what it should look like in video and you really are disciplined about what it should look like, and you can take video and you can look at your swing and go, you know what, this feels like I'm making progress, but I can tell just look at the video I'm not making progress. Things like that. And then the other types of stimuli would be, okay, I'm going to give you a feel. You guys blinded there with the... I'm going to give you a feel. I did it again. Got the sun back there. I'm going to tell you what it should... Like, I'm going to give you a feel. Like this, it should feel like this. And it'll be something really goofy, right? And they go, that looks weird. It's like, yeah, it's going to feel weird. It's going to look weird when I do it. But I need you to feel like I look. Now, you won't look like that when you feel like I look. Like if you feel like you're doing what I'm doing, what I'm actually doing, you'll be doing the correct thing because your motor pattern is polluted, right? So this is what you're going to have to do. So there's a feel maybe you can rely on somewhat. And obviously the ultimate stimuli is the golf ball, right? As you start slowly making progress and putting these things together, if you're putting the pieces back together correctly, after you learn the pieces, if you put the pieces back together, you should start to deliver better numbers and impact, right? So you should start to get better ball flight. You should start to hit the ball more in the center of the face. Your divot should look better. It should be going the right direction. You should have better handling for the type of golf club you're hitting. You should hit a shot and look up in the air and see the ball in the air where you think you were going to see it, right? It's that stuff. I mean, ultimately, that's where it is, right? That's the whole point. That's the whole reason you're doing it, right? Is to control the flight of the golf ball. So as you put the whole picture back together after all this tedious new path building through the Amazon jungle, if you are on the right path and you go through this process and you commit to it, then what you'll do is after a long period of time and a lot of tedious hard work, you'll look back and go, oh wow, it is a lot better, and my bad shots are a lot better, and my good shots are even better than my good shots were before. That's kind of how it works. Now, all right, I've just beat you guys to death with this again. I'm sure I'll have to make this video again in 3 weeks, but that's fine. There it is again, what changing a motor pattern really is. It's not fun. Like if someone's saying, I want to go have fun. No, this is not for you. Go spend some time with your kids or something. Like don't try to change your golf swing if you want to have fun, because it's not fun. It's rewarding when you do finally make progress. But you're going to have to put a lot of hard work in before you can step back and realistically, with a good conscience, think I've made serious progress on my motor pattern. Now, let's talk about the actual mechanics because I'm almost at work. We talked about motor pattern living on the shoulders in the transition. Yes, ultimately to control and it's part of the decoding process, but to make your golf swing ultimately function in a way that you can have a stable motor pattern but hit different golf shots, you have to understand that thing. But you can't just, like we've discussed before, you can't just go right to start fixing your transition. You've got to actually go to what the dynamics and the alignments and all that stuff, what the orientation of the club looks like at impact and past impact, and figure that out. And you have to externally look at the external cues, and you have to look at the radius of the club head, and you got to work back toward the hands, and from the hands into the arms, into the pivot, and so on and so forth. So you got to work backwards. You got to reverse engineer so that you could build a good pivot. You got to reverse engineer what the hands and arms are doing first. For a whole number of reasons, some of which I've discussed, but some I could discuss further. But the thing I want to mention before I get to the gate here is that we'll start talking about the actual wrist alignments, because I haven't spent enough time telling you guys about how the wrist alignments work, basically the spiral of the hands and then kind of the wave of the arms, and kind of blending those things together. So you can sit there and do those independently of the pivot. And then when you start analyzing whether you've made a good pivot move, it's going to be really important to use how your hands, assuming your hands are now, arms, your wrist alignments and your hands are now working properly, it'll be more easily recognizable when the pivot is good, because you'll suddenly be able to take the entire system and deliver good alignments and impact. Okay, so we have to start talking about the way the hands spiral the club and the way the arms wave the club, pitch the club, etc. Okay, someone's opening the gate. Perfect. I need to make a video on that. Unfortunately, I get a lot more time to sit in my car and make videos, which is not, these aren't as instructive. This is more about me just beating up on you guys, verbally, emotionally, not physically. I would like to bitch slap a couple of you guys physically, but you're not here, so I'll just verbally and mentally abuse you. But it's not as instructive, right? It's just more fun for me. But it's not as instructive as if I'm standing in front of the club, maybe hitting some shots, showing you how the club moves, just so you guys can then use that as a template. And you're not trying to make your swing exactly like mine. You're just trying to understand how the pieces generally go together. So I need to make a new pieces video and then kind of start from the club head and the hands and show you what's happening. And I've done these types of videos before where I put the different pieces together in different ways, but let's be a little bit more focused on what the hands and the arms are doing, because ultimately that's the skeleton key to unlock the whole system. Just because any motor skill is going to involve, that's why they call it hand-eye coordination. They don't call it hand-shoulder coordination. They don't call it, they don't call it eye-shoulder or shoulder-eye. They don't call it hip-eye coordination. They call it hand-eye, right? So when you're developing a very precise motor skill, it's your extremities relaying back in real time their position to your brain, so that your brain can then redirect the system or continue to monitor the system and give it instructions as far as where the entire system goes, how all the pieces work together to deliver your hands to do a certain thing at a certain time, right? That's hand-eye coordination. It's not elbow-eye, it's not chest-eye, it's hand-eye. Okay. All right, that's enough. I will talk to you guys a little bit later. Chew on that, and then begin asking questions that make it sound like you didn't listen to the video at all. Okay, bye.